Rod, this is the second week in a row that we've done our Sunday show. Are you excited to talk about the week that was WWE and AEW?
Listen, I'm always excited to get on and have a podcast with you, my good friend. Chopping it up about wrestling is always wonderful, but I'm just going to give everybody a preview right from the start here, Jim. I think I have more questions than I have answers this week, and I think that's just a bit of a theme here as we come out of a pay-per-view and we're seeing what's next.
Well, generally speaking, you kind of want to have more questions after a pay-per-view ends, but it's been a week since it's ended, and we still have those questions. You know, we see some angles they're going for and some that they are not. But a huge question, and I want your thought on this, is the new NXT should be debuting this week. We've got the new logo. It's kind of I don't even know how you would call it, like a 70s vibe NXT logo. Do you have high expectations, or are you just going to kind of wait and see?
I got to be honest with you. I'm going to wait and see at this point because we have some shocking news. I took in 3 extra hours of wrestling this week for the first time ever, and I'm sure we'll talk about that when we get there. So I'm going to need to be convinced a little bit more about NXT to monopolize my time. But I'm intrigued. I'll definitely put it that way.
Okay, yeah, I think that. You know, with Samoa Joe still being the veteran champion, they're going to have at the top of the card kind of the same, but they may be bringing in some bigger people, having less your acrobatic matches. We'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting day for sure this week, so we'll see what happens there. Another couple things I wanted to hit on. I know you didn't get a chance to watch these yet, but if you have not had the chance to watch NXT TakeOver, they ended on a huge note. Walter and Dragunov had another amazing match. And Rod, I know you watched the first one that they had a while ago. Dragunov won. He beat Walter's 700-plus day reign as champion. At the very end, he stood on, he put his foot on Walter's chest, raised the belt up. White meat babyface like no other. He's coming to NXT. It's a match that you don't see on WWE programming very often. It's hard hitting. It's moves you don't really see, and that's kind of what I liked about the NXT UK and NXT in general. I think we're going to lose that, Rod. I think it's gone.
I would imagine. I mean, if we're in any kind of a cost-cutting mode, which is basically the only reason we're ever given for any of these cuts that we've talked so much about over the past couple of weeks, why in the world would you be able to then justify further expenditure on NXT? So yeah, I'd say the UK is gone, and we're just going to roll it up all into one umbrella. And certainly, if you said we're going to get bigger guys, Walter and Dragunov, and a few other people would fit that bill.
And then, speaking of gone, Adam Cole lost a 2 out of 3 fall match to Kyle O'Reilly on TakeOver. Again, a really solid match between the two of them. I think they've had better, but again, if you're going to go with an awesome match or a really awesome match, they're still both pretty good. Looks like Adam Cole might be heading out. He's not going to be at NXT anymore. If you're Adam Cole, Rod, do you go to AEW where you might be able to be featured more, or do you roll the dice and go to the Raw or SmackDown main roster and see what they do with you?
Well, explain this to me right now. I mean, after watching 3 hours at AEW this week, how in the world does he feel like he's going to be able to get featured more? I mean, CM Punk's still taking up a whole lot of oxygen over on that network. We're already teasing out Daniel Bryan's appearance there, right? Punk let that cat out of the bag. We have so many other guys that still have to have run. Kenny Omega is on a legendary heel turn right now.
He is.
I was quite impressed with Kenny Omega's
wow. All
brand.
right.
I was quite impressed with what he was bringing to the television as far as entertainment wise. So, I mean, I don't know if I was a free agent, right? If I honestly was a free agent right now and I could have my pick between any of the different territories, I would be worried a little bit about what kind of traction I'd actually be getting at AEW, because I'd be like, at what point are they going to be overrun, which is something you and I talk about with the WWE. There's so much talent, but it tends to just be the same people wrestling over and over because they only have so many stories to tell.
Yeah, AEW does seem to have when you look at the TV shows, it looks like AEW has the bigger roster, but they don't really have that much a bigger roster. But you are right, it's tough. If you're Adam Cole, I think you're going to get better matches and you're going to get to wrestle different people in AEW, where in WWE, let's be honest, after week 1, 2, and 3, which Vince usually gives him about 3 weeks, he could be chasing the 24/7 title. And I don't know if you're Adam Cole, do you want to do that? I don't care how much you're getting paid, because listen, you can be getting paid a lot of money doing something you don't like and you still don't like it. It really doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But I guess I would just ask you this, because you're the biggest Vince skeptic out there. Do you believe there's a kind of world that the brand of wrestling that Adam Cole is and his vibe can work in Vince's WWE?
No.
Well, then he has to know that too, and then that's probably why he's not coming to WWE or SmackDown, right? Isn't it just as simple as that?
I think he's going to AEW, but we don't know for sure, and he won't return my texts mostly because I don't have his number. But well,
speaking of movement, though, I have a quick question for you. I thought I saw something here that seemed awfully odd to me based on what I then watched on television. Is Chris Jericho coming back to the WWE?
No, not even close. No way. No way.
I thought I saw some sort of weird, like one of the dirt sheet things about that, but I guess again, I'm just starting getting in on those now, so I got to figure out which ones can actually be sort of believed and which are just complete nonsense.
You just brought up a whole can of worms that I'm not even going to touch. No, Jericho's not going back to WWE for anything. Now he does have a match with MJF coming up,
right? Which he said he'd quit. That's why I was a little.
Quit
intrigued.
if he loses. He quit if he loses. It is intriguing because MJF doesn't lose. I think he's lost one match. So that's a big storyline that we'll get into here a little bit more as well. But
I'm sorry,
I don't think he's going.
But we were just talking
I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere. Speaking of contracts, too, Brock Lesnar was brought in apparently last minute at SummerSlam.
I did hear that. That's crazy.
A last minute, hey, we need a big guy coming in at the end. Yeah, let's bring Brock Lesnar in and then have nothing to do with him. Guy couldn't even shave or get a haircut. That's how last minute it was.
I was told Roman was given multiple endings, right, is what I heard. And then he was as surprised as anybody that Brock ended up in Gorilla and came down to the ring. Which to me is crazy.
Problem.
Why are you going to do that to your guy?
Well, why are you going to do that? And then why don't you just plan something? That's when a Keith Lee comes back if you want a big guy. That's when a Karrion Kross debuts. We'll talk about that here in a minute, too. That's when somebody big debuts at the end to kind of get some intrigue, and he'll be there the next day or the next week, as in that case, and it just really didn't happen there. So a lot of intrigue coming into the week, and then we hit Raw, which, Rod, this is the first time in a while we've seen a little bit of different matches happening on Raw. How about that?
I dug the energy of the beginning of Raw. I must admit, kind of the scramble way that it went down, where Damian Priest is talking mess to Bobby Lashley, and then Drew McIntyre showing up, and then all of a sudden we have a tag team match that started right up. I dug the scramble of it right there at the beginning.
Yeah, it's different but same, but still different for sure. I think if you would have said who was going to come out and confront Lashley first, I don't think Damian Priest would have been a top 10 pick.
The crowd seemed to pop for it, though. They seemed to buy it.
Well, because it's different. And they weren't, they were probably expecting, more of the same. Now, obviously, you have McIntyre in there, but you also have Sheamus, which is good. I know you really wanted to talk about Logan Paul and how much you love him and you think he's a fantastic fit for wrestling.
Well, I just hope they got paid money to help try to sell that fight, right? I just hope that was some sort of a deal where they got paid some money for it. Because, okay, sure, there was a guy in your ring that got booed, which can work in wrestling circles. But other than that, I don't really
Not if he doesn't like it.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. And so that's what I don't know what you really accomplished there, because I think we could have gotten to my absolute heartbreak, and we're just going to open that can of worms now and get into it. I can't believe Miz and Morrison are breaking up. I always knew we'd be headed there. I always knew we'd be headed there, but I was sad to see my guys going after each other like that, and especially the Miz to break even worse. But what other way are they going to go? The Miz plays heel so well, so of course he's got to be the bad guy.
I was really worried that you weren't going to be able to do the show tonight because you would have just been so distraught. But listen, Morrison and Miz here. Hopefully this puts Morrison back into his who are we kidding? He might be United States Championship, maybe going for that belt here soon. But I don't know. I worry that they're just not going to do anything with him. I mean, Miz is there and he's entrenched, but I'm worried about Morrison right now after this Miz feud.
Yeah, because there's really only one way you can take it right now. He's just got to try to get his complete revenge on The Miz, and then everybody's going to pop for that. And then what do you have next after that? So I completely understand what you're saying there. But I think the guy can really work, man. I think the guy can really work in ring. I think he's got good moves. He can do some high flying stuff, and I think he's pretty charismatic on the mic as well. I like John Morrison an awful lot, and I hope that that's not the case. But you're probably right because you normally are.
So thank you. We have, except on predictions mostly. We have our.
You got me last time around though. The hot rod wasn't birthed. I was so ready to launch hot rod on the people, and you got me.
Both of us have our people, and one of your people is definitely Charlotte Flair. Love what she does. Great heel. Alexa Bliss coming out. Makes me a little nervous. See, it makes me nervous. Why do you like it?
I do, because as you just said before, right? We just give me something different, right? And Alexa hasn't been doing much of anything, right? Let alone trying to show herself to be a force to be reckoned with, right? Like she was doing her weird thing off in the background, but she was always doing it with the day players, the bit folks, right? Your Shayna Baszlers were rolling through, your Nia Jaxes were rolling through. Then she's messing with Eva Marie and Dewdrop. For her to bring her dark magic to the top for a second, it just, okay, you're right that it probably won't pay off, but I at least thought to myself, this gives you 3 to 4 avenues you maybe could follow with Charlotte Flair via Alexa Bliss, possibly, and I just was like, okay, give it to me, because I also think Alexa can wrestle really, really well, and so you give me somebody that can wrestle with Charlotte, who we know is just an ace in the ring, at least it could be a cool match for a SmackDown. Or, I mean, not a SmackDown, but a Raw.
As long as we keep that magic out, I'm okay with it. But I don't think we're going to keep the magic out on this one. I think that
Definitely
Doll's
not
winking. So that'll be tough. Tag Team Championship. This is kind of interesting coming up. Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH, almost a superhero. Nikki Cross, Rod. I kind of dig it. What do you think?
I like it an awful lot too. We're not supposed to agree this often because it makes for better podcasting when we don't. But I think you brought Rhea in so hot, she had the belt basically like right from the jump. Now you just got to tell another story. And her and Nikki ASH teaming up a little bit, and her seemingly to getting to be the alpha, the dominant one in the tag team partnership, but they kind of sort of get along. I dug it. And I think that there's a world that exists where you could tell an interesting women's tag team storyline by just creating a tournament to set up a individualized tag team championship, right? So make the one that exists out there right now exclusive to one of the brands, and then set up a tournament on the other one, and whoever wins it becomes that brand's women's tag champion. Why wouldn't you do it? You have so many women. Why wouldn't you do it?
We don't need no more belts, man. Come on.
Why wouldn't you need a tag belt,
less
though?
belts. We need less belts. We need one world champion.
I mean, maybe, but if you're gonna split them up, it makes no sense to have 2 different male tag team champions and not 2 different female tag team champions. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, on the surface, of course, yes, but then you don't really have as many people in the women's tag team division as you do
I would
males.
disagree. I just feel like there's women crawling all over the place right now. We could support one more pretty decent tag team with a more dominant storyline as individualized champions of each program. We could, Jim. Who doesn't like a tournament? Come on, who doesn't like a tournament?
Yeah, I know, but then if you're going to see the same matches over and over again for the next month, I don't know. I don't know.
You could see an interesting pairing. What if all of a sudden we had an interesting pairing, right? What if you did the tournament where it was just an open tournament, right? It wasn't Pierce and DeVille doing the matchups. People literally had to sign up. And what if all of a sudden out of nowhere we got a tag team nobody saw coming? They decided to unite because they wanted to win the tag belts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you could do something there.
I think WCW did back in the early 90s, maybe somewhere around there, but I can see where you're going on that, and hey, it'd be something different, but
that's all I'm saying. You claim different all the time, so why not use something that's old but make it seem different because you're creating something that hasn't existed before?
And another one of your favorites here, it's not the Rock and Sock, Rod, but it's pretty close. Riddle and Orton had their kind of celebration, and it was getting really close to the end of the show, and you're like, what's going to be the main event here? But Styles came out, and of course Riddle and Styles had a great matchup together. You love RK Bro.
I do, but I have a complaint here. I'm gonna throw a complete curveball at you. I have a complaint here. So after the tag team celebration on Monday and after the euphoria of them winning at SummerSlam, I went to WWEshop.com and was looking at the RK Bro merchandise. And I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of what we've got available in t-shirt and hoodie land with the snake, and I don't really buy it. Give me another RK Bro choice, and possibly I'd have some RK Bro merchandise, but I don't like the snake logo right now. So I'm going to break bad on my guys. That's what I'm going to do.
And $25, $30 is a pretty hefty premium to pay for a shirt you don't like.
Exactly, right? I like the idea of RK Bro, and I want people to know that I'm an RK Bro person, but I don't want to spend that kind of money on a t-shirt that I ultimately really don't like. So you give me a different design, WWE, and I know so many of their brass up in Connecticut are listening right now. But
yeah, we've gotten many cease and desists from them, believe me.
Yeah.
What in the hell are they doing with Karrion Kross? What in the hell is that? What is he wearing? What's going on? They debut him and then they change his outfit after he loses the title. They had and this is a rhetorical question, obviously, because I'm not letting you answer. They had a monster NXT champion. I'm not a huge fan of him, to be honest with you, but people liked him. That's fine. But then they put him in this crappy looking helmet and this demolition-esque. What are they doing, dude? Why do they hate Karrion Kross so much?
Well, my answer back to you would be, why do they hate everybody so much? I mean,
That's
this is what you talk about
point.
all the time. You said they never know how to debut anybody. You say this so often that they never know how to debut anybody.
What are they doing to him?
Listen, I didn't like the Karrion Kross that showed up as NXT champion, but I at least understood it, and it made sense to me, and it seemed to me like the kind of guy that, okay, he's not for me, but I see that he's going to be a formidable presence to be reckoned with, and you can tell stories off of this guy. He can make the crowd pop. I get it. And then the axe and smash leather kind of BDSM sort of almost is what made me think about too. And
Yeah.
And then it reminded me that he has the normal valet in NXT, but he doesn't have it in WWE. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't get Karrion Kross, but I also don't get Keith Lee. So, I don't know what we're trying to do with those guys on Raw. I think they're doing much better with some of the new guys on SmackDown because Finn Balor continues to impress me every time he shows up on SmackDown.
First of all, how dare you with Keith Lee? But yeah, they're not doing anything with him either. And then, yes, it's almost like Karrion Kross needs a gimmick where he has a female valet who's really cool and they work well off each other. Oh, yeah, they had that forever and it was doing great and he was fantastic and they just took her away. She's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make much sense to me because I have also told you as well that I think there needs to be a few more valets, right, manager types. I think there could be a couple more of those running around on Raw. I think it would just help out because MVP does so much good work. Couldn't we have somebody who's the anti-MVP doing good work on another side?
Let's hit SmackDown, and then we'll talk some AEW. Finn Balor, apparently your boy and mine, is going to go after Roman Reigns. He took care of the Usos to end the show. I think it's going to be a solid matchup. They're going to work well together, and Reigns is going to get the win. Hopefully this elevates Balor a little bit, but are you excited about the Balor and Reigns matchup?
Absolutely. I like this guy a lot. I think this guy, he's got charisma. I can see it, right? And if you give me anybody that's got charisma like this and the charisma that Roman Reigns has, I'm going to believe that they can work a good match. And ultimately, that's all I want to see because you and I both know he's not taking the championship off of Reigns. So just give me a good match, and I'm going to be excited about it. So, yeah.
When is it a good idea to have a mystery partner or a mystery opponent when so many things could happen and have that mystery opponent be just someone who's on the roster in general? When is that a good idea? Anytime?
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for the cheapest of all sells, that's the way to go for it. You know what I mean? But yeah, ultimately I'm with you. It's usually not a great thing unless you're going to truly surprise somebody.
Of course, Sami Zayn was the mystery opponent for Dominic Mysterio. People love Sami Zayn, but they were really looking for an Adam Cole. They were really looking for a Walter. They were really looking for anybody that wasn't already on the show. So that was kind of a curveball there.
And certainly almost anybody maybe not named Sami Zayn that was on the show as well, right? He's not necessarily somebody on the tip of everybody's tongues right now. As great as he can work, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's a bad guy. So it's like you don't want to have him. And then this was kind of cool. Nakamura and what's his name that plays the guitar?
You mean
for Nakamura?
Rick Boogs
had a matchup. Tag team.
That dude
Ziggler
seems like he could sort of wrestle.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's who he is. That's why they brought him in. I can't wait till they break him up next week. It'll be great.
Yeah, we're definitely headed there because Nakamura, I mean, he doesn't need this guy. He's already the king and the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, why keep a good act together for more than a little while? So, that'll be neat. They'll go back and forth there. Maybe they'll go for some tag team titles. Part of the trio, though, we didn't even talk about it. Pat McAfee out with COVID.
Is that what it was?
104-degree fever. He tweeted out 104 degrees, double vaccinated. I'm out indefinitely. And he had the picture of the thermometer. So he was hurting.
And we had a little bit we had your guy, KO, and then we had my boy Corey Graves, the savior of misbehavior. I like Corey Graves an awful lot. We don't talk about him much on Raw, but I think he does good work.
Corey does. He's done good. He's done good work. He was really good when he started, and then they kind of got him into the whole WWE speak. But he's still okay. All right, I buried the lead long enough. Your boy's rich, dude.
Yeah, I was excited to see my guy coming out.
Your boy is
there.
rich.
I was excited.
Corbin.
I don't know about the hat. Let's just start there. I don't know about the hat, but I do get the gimmick.
It's a great run, but now he's rich, and I don't know what they're going to do with it because they kind of have a rich thing going on NXT as well. So I don't know where they're going for that, but we'll see what happens. He tried to buy the briefcase with Big E, that wasn't happening. good for Corbin though. It's a different character for him, and that's nice. That's good. That's good for him.
I mean, what do you think? Because there's no way Big E, right? I mean, his whole character and whatever. There's just no way he was going to sell the 100 briefcase to him for $100,000. But let's say just he would have, right? Like, I mean, how shocking of a development would that have been if, like, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, okay, we did just see a briefcase get bought for $100,000.
It would have definitely Twitter would have blown up. Wrestling Twitter would have blown up for sure. It would have been interesting to see what then Big E would have done with that $100,000. Does he go to Vegas and just blow it all, or does he retire because he doesn't make $100,000 or anything?
And
like
I also must admit that I thought it was so odd that Corbin's move here was, this is what I'm offering you, but he didn't try to up his offer any, right? I also thought that was really, really odd. That, like, if his whole thing is I'm rich now, why didn't he offer more money?
Well, yeah, and these are WWE superstars. They're supposed to be well off. So why don't you just start the bidding at $1 million?
Yeah, exactly. We're playing with funny money anyway here. I just found it odd that he was like, I'm giving you the hard sell, $100,000, take it or leave it. I was just like, really?
Yeah, I mean it's not real. So like you just say whatever you say, $5 million. Who cares? And then that actually even makes Big E that more of a baby face, saying no, I'm not going to take your money. I earned this.
But I like Corbin, but what it did for me is it made me worried that my hope that they were actually doing some sort of long-term payoff where he's going to end up being a guy. I'm like, no, this was just a little flash in the pan deal. This was just like, I swiped left and had fun with this guy for a little bit, and now I'm off.
Long-term payoff. I'm going to write that down and put quotes there. Alrighty, there we go. And we also had a Cesaro-Gable match, which they're always going to be solid together, but they're not.
It was good to see Cesaro. I'd sort of forgotten about him, and then it was good to see a smiling face again. Cesaro's always excited to be coming down to the ring.
All right, so you watched a ton of AEW. I watched bits and pieces of AEW, so I know you have a lot of questions about Dynamite, which is Wednesday night, and Rampage, which is Friday. Lay it on me. What are some questions? We can talk about it. Maybe I can answer. Maybe I can't. Maybe our audience can at YeahWeKnowPod or YeahWeKnowPod@gmail.com. If you are an AEW fan, tell us what you think about Rod's questions here.
All right. So first off, I just want to start here with probably is the obvious, but love seeing Shivani and JR on the call.
Yep.
Just absolutely. I mean, Shivani's voice, even though I wasn't a huge WCW guy, I think that guy's one of the greatest in the biz ever. And I've spoke about my love of JR many times in the past when I'd come on with you and your former tag team host, and we would do some of our old school catch up. So my love for JR knows no bounds. So that good. My first number one overall takeaway is that I like CM Punk. I'm ready. I don't know if I like CM Punk, but I see that everyone else likes CM Punk, and he didn't have anything real different to say in the ring with Shivani on Wednesday night than what we had heard from him the past week. So good on that. But I like the Darby Allin kid. I was really interested in watching that match with him to be like, okay, this is the guy who gets to fight everybody's big deal. So let me see what this kid has. And I can see that these guys might be able to do a really, really good match because Punk is a hell of a worker, right?
Yeah, we need to see. He's been gone for 7 years, so he used to be. Yes, yeah, he was a good worker. Yeah, so
okay.
Punk and Allen is a good worker as well.
All right, so I was excited by that. I kind of like having Sting around there. It's kind of like the thing that we talked about with Riddle having Randy Orton, right? Having Sting around makes that guy seem a bit more important since Sting's got his back, and we all know Sting has a big deal there. Excited to see Badass Billy Gunn. Had forgotten about him and love seeing him there. Those probably aren't his real kids, right?
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
All right. And then that's a Christian as in Edge and Christian, right?
Yes, it's Christian Cage, but yes, Edge and Christian. Yep, that's him.
And then what's the Impact Championship belt? Is that a whole other wrestling deal? And if it is, what's he doing on AEW Dynamite?
Okay, wow. This is a good one. So Impact used to be called TNA, Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, and that was kind of the
was that the one Hogan was involved in for a while?
Hogan was involved in that. Kurt Angle was involved in that. Christian was involved in that earlier too. So they've still been going on. They do I believe they have a Thursday night show, and they've gone through a lot, Rod. It's we can talk a little bit more in depth on that later, but it's another promotion, and AEW has a working relationship with them, as they do with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So you'll see some AEW talent go to TNA. Kenny Omega, the champion, went to TNA and won their championship, okay? But eventually they had to get that off of him. And you don't really want your champion, your AEW champion, to lose to somebody necessarily on a second-tier program, okay? So Christian Cage is an AEW, but has his roots and Impact in TNA. So that's why they did that on the inaugural episode of Rampage, where Christian won that championship. A little, there's some outside stuff going on, but he won the championship there. So that's kind of where that comes in, where Christian has enough roots in TNA and Impact that they were giving him the championship. So that's why.
Okay, so it is a definite whole other wrestling promotion, and okay, so then
Correct.
But love me some Kenny Omega. I enjoyed the guy in the pink suit. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but love the guy in the weird face mask behind him, spraying people with aerosol can. Love that guy. Love the guy with the laptop who had like the wireless headset on. Like just their whole outfit of heelness was just. I was like, okay, I like what you guys are doing. A lot of that show still seems second rate to me, and come at me, all you AEW people, but there's just like the luchador guys. So there's two guys in luchador masks fighting another guy in a luchador dinosaur mask and a guy who's a jungle boy. And then I don't know what's going on with the Young Bucks anyway. Like all these people are going through this tournament to take on these guys who don't look all that tough in the first place as your tag team champions. So I had a whole crew. So I had a whole question about that. Again, this is just my first ever time in.
Yeah.
Everybody understand. This is my first time in. But love Jon Moxley. Love the Wild Thing Rick Vaughn song as he walks through the crowd. Just enjoy the work I've seen out of that guy now in 2 matches on watching AEW.
So the Young Bucks, along with Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, essentially started AEW. Okay. The money came from the Khans, but they started AEW. Without them, they wouldn't be there. The Young Bucks have been an amazing tag team for the past 15 so years in New Japan and in the indie circuits. So yeah, they are not as young anymore, but they are an amazing team. And when you see their matches, you'll see why everyone's gunning for them. So
that's true. I've not seen them do anything except just sit up there, and they just look like a real motley crew. Just zebra stripes and stuff. Just don't often scream to me that you're a badass.
Yeah. So yeah,
which I know is awful judgmental of me, but hey, I'm going to break heel every once in a while, folks. So get ready for it.
So yeah, you'll see why that's happening there. As far as the production, and I kind of drew a blank earlier. The Guns are all related, just for the record.
They are actually all related.
Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't thinking correctly. But anyway, I think the production is pretty solid. This was one of those shows that wasn't as highly rated among even the AEW hardcore people as one of their top shows. I mean, it's still a good show. Moxley's amazing. They just let him be him, and I've loved everything he's done since he's coming to AEW. So kudos to him for sure.
And now, is that an actual kid that's coming out to the ring with Jungle Boy and the Luchasaurus? Or is that just like a guy that looks like a kid? What's the deal with that kid?
Marco Stunt.
I didn't even know that was his name. He just looks like a kid to me.
Marco Stunt is, I think that's who you're talking about. He's a wrestler.
There's somebody that looks like a kid that came out, and I thought he was like the manager of the Jungle Boy and the Luchasaurus. The Luchasaurus is an absolute beast. Like, that guy is huge. And that was the whole thing. He was just taking kick after kick to the face from those luchador guys, which was also weird again. So then we had 3 guys in the ring all in luchador masks.
Well, yeah. I mean, but you have to remember, in Mexico, that's every match is, I mean, that's what it is. So it's just bringing in different.
And then the last thing that I want to say is Aleister Black, who we got to talk about once or twice on our podcast when we were just talking about WWE. We can now talk about him as Malachi Black, and wow, that dude is he's an ass kicker right now. He sells that thing big time as an ass kicker. My goodness, Arn Anderson and his son were laid waste upon by that guy.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you build somebody up. And have them beat people and not do 50-50 booking all the time. I thought the Arn Anderson catching the kick was great only because he then kicked him in the balls afterwards. Because you give the legend a little bit. Hey, I've scouted you. I know what's going on. Oh yeah, you know what's going on, because everyone was going to cheer if he hit that kick on him. Right, so then you try to get them then to boo Aleister Black or Malachi Black, because he is the bad guy.
Definitely, definitely. But he's one of those bad guys that pretty soon everybody's just going to start liking him, right? If he starts coming to the ring and just kicking ass all the time, people are going to be buying that dude.
Correct. So overall, you're. I mean, I'm kind of sounding like you're buying.
I'm in. I liked it much more than I thought I would. I thought there was enough intriguing characters and so just like with any WWE product, right? I'm going to be fast forwarding through stuff that I don't really care about for a little while probably, but then I'll start getting caught up and I'll switch on some guys, right? Like I broke bad on a couple of dudes WWE style when we first started out, and now they're my guys. You know what I mean? So it's going to take me a little while, but it still just looked a tad low rent to me at times, and I'm just going to have to get past that. But I'm also just being smart enough to recognize that could just be me not having familiarity with it the way I have with WWE, and then just trying to not let that be a hindrance to my possible enjoyment of the overall product.
Kenny Omega is their champion. Are you buying him?
He's a bit on the smallish side, I guess, but he was chiseled enough in the shoulders and in the chest that I bought it, right? And he's just tall enough, you know what I mean? So I think he's get overable enough. I liked him. I thought he was good in the match, and I loved the tag match where like any time that Christian came into the ring, he just threw that one dude back into the ring to get worked. You know what I mean? Like just incredible heel stuff out of him. Seth Rollins would have been proud.
Yeah, Christian is very good at what he does. And,
he's real good on the mic. I don't remember
Vince
letting
letting
him talk that much.
Underrated for sure. Have you seen Orange Cassidy wrestle yet?
I didn't want to talk about him because I'm sure he's way more over with people, but I just was not into that thing at all. Like, what was going on at the beginning of that match? Like, what was that all about at the beginning of that match? I had absolutely no idea what that was, and neither JR nor Shivani said anything either. So I kind of felt like they didn't really like it either. It must be one of these new things that's only for the fans. Like, what was that?
It's his gimmick. He pretends that he doesn't really care about anything, and the hands in the pants and the slow kicks are just kind of him. It's tough. It's his gimmick, just essentially, but then he does all these awesome moves with his hands in his pants, and he can kind of do anything, and he kind of turns it on as the match goes on, but he's very very nonchalant when it starts.
Well, and then I guess I got a little background because, again, if you watch these shows, they'll always give you a little bit of information. There's a guy at the end who cut what I thought was a great promo with a couple of dudes sitting next to him, and I can't remember his name now. He was an older gentleman, but he was basically calling out AEW fans and how they essentially stink and all the people that they want to root for are terrible, and that he needs to give them real men so that they can have actual decent role models. And he was describing a couple of guys. One dude who was a former Kung Fu champion, and another guy who was a former mixed martial artist. But I thought that guy cut a hell of a promo, and I was like, all right, cool. Again, another manager. So I'm just going to harken back to what I said. WWE needs more managers. Let's bring back some of the Hall of Fame managers. I saw a thing the other day where Virgil was on the Walk of Fame signing autographs right on Vince Walk of his Hollywood star. Get Virgil back.
Sure, get Virgil back. Why not? All right. Well, I need to watch more AEW with you then, don't we?
It certainly looks that way. And I had teased that we might have a possible future guest about AEW, and it looks like that's not going to happen. So, Jimmy, they're just going to have to deal with you and I's opinions on AEW and not the mystery guest I was teasing. But perhaps somebody else, that gets at us through our Twitter handle or our Gmail maybe will prove themselves to be able to come on and chop up AEW with us sometime.
At YahWeKnowPod@gmail.com or at YahWeKnowPod and YahWeKnowPod@gmail.com. Anything you're looking forward to coming up this week, Rod?
I'm going to be interested to see what we are doing with Raw, to be honest with you. I really am, right? I kind of see where SmackDown is heading right now, and I love it, and I'm all in on SmackDown. But is Sheamus, Bobby Lashley going to be a thing? Is Damian Priest going to be somebody who, like, how much heat could you give Damian Priest if he was still U.S. champ and he fought Bobby Lashley for the title? You know what I mean? Like, how big would you make Damian Priest see at that point? And then could we get a cool storyline off of that? So for the first time in a few weeks, I'm actually like, okay, Raw, let's see what you got. And this episode will be out for you guys hopefully before Raw runs later this evening. So, we'll see if I'm right about having excitement for Raw. I could probably come on next week and be like, what in the world was I thinking?
You will be saying what in the world were you thinking, but I'm sure for a lot of other reasons as well. So do you have a new nickname yet, or we got to wait on that, man?
I think we got to wait on that. I think I was getting a little bit over ahead of my skis, which
you got cocky. Cocky.
Which could have made for a great heel, but the heel turn is something that you got to earn, right? So I can't just break heel because that's an easy thing to do on. So if I'm going to get a new nickname, I got to earn it. So I got to get back on a hot streak here again before I become the actual Hot Rod. So for now, I'm just Rod, the Podfather. But I do want to drop a quick promo here and let everybody know that we're going to be coming at everybody every Monday, but we're hoping that every Thursday we're going to have some serious football content for the people. Right, Mr. Jamriska?
Yeah, football's coming back. We've got 2 weeks to the first game, and can't be more exciting. I know we have a lot of people that listen to the anonymous gambler, who is not anonymous anymore, Josh Williams. And we're going to have a great football show, as we always have. A lot of, if you want some intricate stats, also having some fun, and then some just nonsense from whoever the third person is.
Which normally me.
Well, you, Chris King, whomever, definitely do that. And then also, hey, you got to do one of your, when you started this network so many years ago, which I don't even know how many years it's been now. It's ridiculous. But I know there's something you really always wanted to do, and you got to do it. You got to do your Fast and Furious pod, and it's really cool. So how fun was that?
That was an awful lot of fun. If you have not listened to the Fast and Furious pod, go back. It should be the previous pod before this one, and you get to hear Mr. Evan Altman, our Cubs friend, who always does such good work talking about the Cubs. He did even better work, perhaps, talking about Fast and Furious. So, and our old friend, Mr. Jeff Van Vactor, who is not a freak.
Kind of.
Yeah, that was an interesting edit for you, I'm sure, Jim. So thank you for that. But it's always fun to hear Mr. Van Vactor. In his limited at bats, he was rather good. So if you're a fan of the Rewatchables podcast, where they give out the Dion Waiters Award for somebody who really shows up in their limited amount of time, Mr. Van Vactor definitely gets that for the Fast and the Furious pod.
Yes, he does. All right. Well, you have been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast on the More You Know Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy and the Podfather. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm still just Rod. But I promise you, I will get back on a hot streak, and then it will be a lot of fun.